Hello, and welcome to my channel, Hunting the Silver Lining. And I called it that because that's what I'm trying to do, trying to figure out what is the good in all of the madness of life. And as I learn to strengthen the things that I learn and share with others, and hopefully it can be useful to them. So today, what I wanted to do was tell you a tip slash tactic, a tip, an awareness tip, a tactic that you can take action on personally, and then a little story. So the tip is about people pleasing. If you recognize that you're a people pleaser, and you also recognize, as I did, that you did not realize you were doing that you didn't realize that there was a name to this unconscious compelling drive to just make sure everyone else was okay around you at at any cost to yourself. So the tip is be aware. If you are aware, allow yourself to maintain awareness, because it's so, for me, I mean, I don't know about the rest of you, but it makes me think, literally, it crossed my mind the other day. It makes me think of a drug addict. I've never done drugs, by the way, but if you can get off it, it seems like you're an absolute hero. So, if you've gone down deeply down that rabbit hole. And so I admire people that can do that. So there's no, I don't have that history, and I'm not judging people who do. But what I want to say is that I think those underlying compulsive, obsessive, addictive tendencies, I think they're a part of the human condition. I think we all share them, and it's about how we express them, how far we let it go. What goalposts we put on that or not. And so what I noticed for myself, and the reason why I'm using the example of drug addiction was because I couldn't think of any other way to describe the fact that even though I knew my people pleasing behavior was extremely detrimental to my best interests, physical health, financial health, emotional health, social health, psychological health, spiritual health, like literally, like, whoa, 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 whoa. Everything was being drained to the point of adrenal fatigue and major economic problems, even though I was working 7 days a week. So what I realized was that even though I had awareness, my awareness would kind of pop up and then go away, and pop up and go away. And sometimes I'd hold it. If I was really angry, I could, anger became a highly effective tool that I could hold the awareness and know that I deserved a boundary, and that I was laying one down, and then willing to die on that hill in the moment of that anger. And I realized after that had gone on for, to be really honest, like probably my whole life, but like where the awareness, and then I would fall off the awareness, and then I would get back on it, but there was lacking. I was lacking. I don't want to be super cheesy, but just for lack of a better term, I was lacking wind beneath my wings. I was lacking the updraft to lift myself up above this pattern and be able to fly forward in my life. And so that's another reason why I made this channel, Hunting the Silver Lining, is because I'm like, okay, this has happened. I'm in the mud again in every way. Okay, great. So are so many other people. So what can be good about this? And for me, I've always loved learning, reading, researching. Like, honestly, that's what I do in my free time. It's just fun for me. Love it, love it. I never get tired of it. So hopefully the things that I learned can strengthen my ability to be the best, the a better, and ultimately the best version of myself before it's time for me to die. And and that in that journey of trying to become my best self, and I know this is probably just, someone would say, oh, it's just people pleaser, but it's a deep, genuine desire of my true personality to see the world around me well, healthy, happy, abundant, free, honorable, trustworthy, delighted, joyous, just, I want to see a happy world, even if I'm not in on all of those things or receiving any direct benefit. I'm super empathic, and so that's a real experience for me. Whereas maybe other people that have people pleasing tendencies, maybe for them it's a little bit different. I don't, I can't speak on that because I don't know. But if you do have something to, please comment if you want to, if you feel called to. If you don't worry about it. It's just, eventually I want us to have a community where we're the wind beneath each other's wings. And I know it's so cheesy and cliche, but what else do you say? We need the updraft to lift us from an almost spiritual standpoint, to lift our psyche out of this pattern that we recognize we have, but we keep falling back in, because it's a compulsive default. That's an unconscious pattern for me because I learned it in childhood in order to survive a aggressive household. And my father was an alcoholic addict. So I know what that is, and that that's not me, but I'm expressing that tendency that I think is in the human condition, but is certainly in my bloodline. And it is to compulsively latch on to a way of dealing with the world. So maybe for some people, it's alcohol or drugs or food, unhealthy foods, right? The food that gives you the high, the sugar, the whatnot, and it doesn't serve you in the end. But it's like people pleasing. We go to it. It doesn't serve us in the end, but we go to it because we know that in a momentary sense of compelling need to fix a situation or to alleviate the fear that it would get worse, we go to people pleasing, if you're like me. And so the tip is love and forgive yourself if you fall off 10,000 times. I touched on that in a previous video. Like if you fall off a trillion times, cool. Don't beat yourself up. How are you going to get stronger if you beat yourself up? I know you know that, but then you do it. Me too, right? But here's the thing. No, the way you reward yourself is get back on so you can feel better about yourself, have a greater sense of dignity and honor and personal power, and re-solidify that internal set point and give a little bit of ballast, a little bit of weight that's going to stabilize you just a teeny tiny bit better in a storm under a situation of social duress where you normally would fall into people pleasing, right? So awareness is the first tip. Awareness, awareness, awareness. Be aware that this is a pattern of yours that you desire to improve upon. But how are you going to do that? Like realistically, how are you going to do that? Okay, so that's what I was thinking. And so back and forth, it sounds insane, but as that's why I call it that there's an addictive tendency in it for me, is that I would go harder core into my people pleasing behaviors in order to alleviate the fear of problems with work, with marriage, with family, with in-laws, and coworkers, bosses, jobs. You need the money and you literally have to survive. So you can't tell them what you really want to tell them. So it was like people pleasing, even though I knew it wasn't working and that it was damaging me. I went harder and harder and harder into it until everything, I rode it till the wheels fell off, y'all. I was the people pleasing champion, okay? Until it was like complete economic destruction, complete categoric friendship and personal relationship breakdowns, just complete work, family, everything, family of origin, in-laws, all of it, all of it, all of it, because I burnt myself out. I thought, okay, I'll just go 10 times harder because I'm stronger than them anyway, so I can take it. That's another thing about people pleasing. It's like you think you're taking one for the team, for the greater good, and man, doesn't that sound like a nice little concept to justify that addictive compulsive behavior, to fawn over other people, always give them what they want in order to avoid conflict. But what happened for me was it was a categoric fail, and it failed bad, bad, I tell you. Okay, and so becoming aware, first thing, allowing, don't go through this big old wasting your time with this beat yourself up, or wasting this time with this weak, amorphous, really unclear, I'm going to forgive myself, I'm going to heal. No, you don't need that. Like literally, like frick that. You don't need that. Okay. That's another thing. It's just miraculous. You don't need that. Here's what you do. You just get back on to the path that you choose to be on, which is you're going to have healthy, balanced relationships as best as possible. And that will always be a dance with that, right? And a fine tuning and an adaptation, and let some things go and bring some new things in, and then train yourself and train the other person or the other group, how you want to happily interact with them and the give and take, right? And give and take, because what you want is reciprocation. But if you were like me, you weren't getting that. In fact, it was getting worse and worse. And the harder I tried, which leads me to the next point, which is you get to decide. You don't have to do this long process. You don't have to go to therapy for 20 years or 50 years or 10 years. Here, I'm not saying don't do that. Okay. So don't twist my words. I'm just saying I have firsthand experience that what you can do to feel better, what I can do to feel better. And that's why I want to share it, is because I want to solidify it for myself, to make myself stay on it and jump back on it every time I fall off. And I'm going to end this with a little story, which I thought was really cool. We'll see if you're interested, but I'll tell you. And becoming aware, stopping the pattern, but then I keep going back and then just get back on and then realize I don't need this big emotional, oh, beat myself up or forgive myself or heal. No, just decide. So this is the next really important. Just decide. I now am the master of my ship. End of, end of. Nothing and no one can ever be more important than my own best interests, except if there's like a child or a puppy or an elderly person or injured, an emergency situation where their life depends on you and you're right there and all you got to do is jump up and, block one thing and you save them. Okay. I'm not talking, don't go doing that. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying in every normal human interaction, your intimate relationships, your friendships, your marriages, your everything, work, no one is allowed. No one's allowed to be more important than me. They can be just as important to me, although I don't know if I recommend that, because it's going to make a really constant struggling balancing act at a tight level that I just don't think you need that tension. Let yourself be first. I mean, at least 75 to 90% of the time. Try that out. Just try it out. If it doesn't work, cool. But try it out long enough to really get a sense of the patterns and also give an adjustment period, right? Because when you start changing, do it, a little gently, right? But just decide, become aware, get back on every time you fall off, and then just decide. No one's allowed to be more important than me in any normal human interaction. That doesn't mean you go fight with the person at the airport security or the checkout or whatever, just because they're giving you an instruction. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. So just have sense, okay? I beg of you to have sense. I'm gonna try my best to have some sense, and I'm gonna hope you have some sense too. Okay? And if you don't, get some. Figure that out. Go find another channel. I don't know what that channel will be called, but this here is something that really, really worked for me, was just realizing, and I feel even now that I'm saying it, I have to say it with such like intensity, because I realize I don't believe it, but I know it's true. How weird is that? What even is that, like, genre of peaks and valleys within my own psyche? Like, what even is that? What is that realm called? The no man's land? I don't know. But I know for a logical, normal human fact that no one in any normal situation, no one's best interest. Okay. We're not talking about greed or, manipulation or getting over. No, we're just saying in a normal human interaction with a coworker, with the boss, you understand the gender, with a marriage, with a friendship. You understand, we all understand what the basic rules of engagement are. But guess what? If you're like me, you're the only one following the rules. None of them are following the rules, and they're so happy that you're so easy to take advantage of. So as I went on this trajectory, I tried harder and harder to make everyone happy. And the harder I tried, the worse the treatment I got. I got so much disrespect, sabotage. Oh my gosh, work sabotage, in-law sabotage. If you know what I'm talking about. So even partner sabotage, which was bizarre to me. Like, why would you destroy the finances that are directly related to your not just my survival, but yours? Yeah. And so what I think, I haven't fleshed out what that is. If you know, please put it in the comments. I think it's about being, I think on an unconscious spiritual level, it's about, I was being attacked for being inauthentic. That's what I think. That'll have to be another video. So we get to decide, though. We get to decide that no one's best interest in a normal human interaction friends, family, work, school, etc., relationships are more important than your best interests in any normal situation. Okay, they're not more important than you. I want to cuss so bad. I'm struggling and striving to keep it in. So no one's more important than you. No one's more important than me. And that's the challenge. It's uncomfortable, but if you're playing by the rules, they're not. Okay. Now, I'm not saying go become a scumbag, but you've got to get some of your fight instinct back up. And you got to start deciding, hey, I'm just as important as you in this situation. And you got to stand your ground. You got to be willing to walk away. And you have to know in advance you may lose relationships. And here is the next little thing. And then I'll tell you a short story and then that'll be it. And I thank you so much for listening. So I decided I kept on working on digesting and integrating that concept that I am as important as any other person in any normal situation, regardless of what they try to make it out to be. That's just absolutely not accurate, that I am less of a human being than they are. Okay? So then I just decided, if that's true, why was everyone treating me so bad? And I thought, well, so I'm not being very authentic. So I pulled away from everyone and I did my own thing for a while. And as I was living somewhere different and interacting with all new people, I felt I without realizing it, I was doing my people pleaser thing again because I fell back, and now I'm back on knowing who I am again. So just get back on. And at first, in the new place where I was living, you go to run errands and shops and businesses, and you do what you got to do, and you interact with the landlords or whatever. And at first, I felt like people liked me, and I felt really excited about that because I was doing my people pleasing thing, and at first people responded. But over just a short period of about 6 to 8 weeks, not long, every relationship that new relationship that had started out like super positive because of all my people pleasing, just pouring all this, but over those weeks, I was also developing and evolving myself. So I stopped being as much of a people pleaser, started being a little bit more authentic. So I was oversharing. So that's a big mistake I was making as well. At some points I was oversharing, and some points I was undersharing. So either I was probably giving people more than was appropriate or just comfortable or necessary. And in other situations, I wasn't giving them anything. And so then they didn't know what to connect to. So it's about authenticity and balance. And so those relationships all started falling apart that had started out great. And I was like, oh my, like I felt like I was experiencing like a black hex or demonic, you know, assault or something. Like, what is going on? Why everything was fine? Like, what's happened? And so then I remember I heard I heard it in a bunch of different places, go where you're celebrated, get in where you fit in, and go where you're appreciated. And I always, for some reason, that never landed with me. But this time it did, because I was absolutely determined. I'm almost 50. I'm not spending the rest of my life with these absolutely miserable patterns. So I just have to be alone and figure it out and try and try and try it until it's figured out. Get knocked down 9 times, get up 10. So I decided that I would start new places. So I changed my living situation. I changed where I got my manicure and pedicures, because that was another thing. I started treating myself better. Okay. So I can't wait to get all into beauty culture. I love it so much. So then I decided, instead of trying to make up with people that I still had to interact with for one reason or another for a certain amount of time anyway, that I wasn't going to be my old, oh, let me fix it and make it better self. I was just like, you know what? Scrap it, man. Forget it. Throw it in the dust heap. I don't care. I don't care what they think. And I kept on strengthening myself. And then I would have tons of anguish and fear and anxiety. Oh, I'm going to have a problem, have a confrontation. I don't want this lady to come on. You have problems. So I don't want someone knocking on my door. Like, I was genuinely at one point paranoid, because it was the first time in my life where I was completely alone. I had zero support, like nothing and no one. And relationships, new little fresh budding relationships that I had initially started out really great, were all falling and getting really weird. And I didn't know why. I'm just saying hypothetically, I think because I was inauthentic. And also because weakness invites aggression. There's just so much to say on these subjects, but that's, again, the reason for the channel is to evolve and grow and strengthen that, and to be able to, like, integrate these concepts, not just be like, oh, philosophically clever. No, actually live from this so that you can live an empowered existence and really feel wonderful inside yourself. And so the little story. So then I decided that I was going to do affirmations. I felt like they were a little heebie-jeebie, little, a little new agey, and I had tried all that stuff 20 years ago, and I thought, it didn't work, or it's a temporary high. But anyway, I started doing this affirmation too. Okay, so take them for checking if you're interested. One was, and this was to counteract the sense that everywhere I go, I was getting weird, rude treatment, and it was really freaking mess. It was baking my noodle. I could not understand. I'm being so polite. I'm spending tons of money all over the place, right? Because I'm rebuilding an entire life from scratch with life savings and credit, right? Because I mean, that's what I had to do to make. Yeah, I had to make some choices to move forward. And so I couldn't understand. I was like, I'm spending money. I'm being polite. I never complain. I never ask for anything extra why am I getting, why is all of this falling back into this pattern? And I realized I'm not being authentic. And so what I did was I said, I'm not going to do this healing and therapy. I was just about on the cusp of like getting therapy because I was like, I'm in so much psychological pain. But then I just decided, nope, no, I get to decide. I get to be the most important person in my life and I get to decide how it's going to go. Me and God, right? And everything in between that is not more important than me and what I choose. And I just decided to say to myself, you know what? No more, end of. Anybody tries it, they're getting blowback. However uncomfortable, if I end up going to jail for cussing someone out and slapping them and, throwing some things around, oh well, oh well. Like I went to that level and I don't advise this. It's nothing. I'm just saying I had to work myself up, like before the boxing match, the proverbial social interaction anxiety boxing match. And so or if all these relationships fail, who cares? I'll just get new ones. I'll just move somewhere else, like I've already done it once, I'll do it again. And I did it twice and I'll do it again. So, I just decided like no one's doing that, and if they do, they're getting blowback. I'm gonna make sure there are consequences on that. And one of the consequences was like I'm just gonna take all my energy back, right? Because you don't really want to go to jail every time you have to scream after someone. It's just highly inconvenient to your personal growth. I would imagine. Never been there. Hope to keep it that way. But at one point I thought I don't know what's gonna happen. What if this person's crazy? And then I got to defend myself. So that's where that came from. But I realized that I was just going to pull my power right back into me and just breathe it back in and just feel it coming like swirling all around my body from every direction, 360, like a swirling spiral around me. All my energy is coming back. I call all my energy back. I'm not taking it anymore. And I'm taking it back with interest and penalties and fees and bonuses, all that would be in alignment with my highest good in the best way for me. And that kind of gave me more of a stable sense of I can right this ship within myself and I don't have to like get in a screaming match or throw punches or whatever or deflect them. However, that I don't know. My mind wanders as you can tell. So then I said, okay, here's my affirmation. Everywhere I go, I get the best treatment, the best service, and the best outcome. So I started saying that and kind of like if I was laying in bed at night and I'm ruminating over, all these things I'm stressed out or I have anxiety, I gotta go here, I gotta go there, I gotta see about this works. I don't know how to fix this, just stuff starting a new life. And right when I'd walk out the door, then the next day I'd have that anxiety. Oh, I hope traffic's not crazy. I hope no one does anything crazy. It's because people are so crazy. Oh my god. So I just kept on saying like I get the very best treatment everywhere I go. I get the very best treatment. I get the very best services and I get the very best outcomes because I treated myself to this fancy facial and I was very worried because I had never spent that much and I was like, oh, like I should not be doing this. But I was like, no, I should. I very, very well should. And I'm going to get the best results. And I kept on saying, I get the best treatment everywhere I go. Okay. and the universe conspires in my favor. So I took the opportunity when I was driving through like a very natural, like all kinds of trees and foliage were on both sides of the road in this one section of the road. That's when I said to myself again, I played this awesome music, and it was actually Brandon Lake's Count 'Em, the new one where, oh man, it's so good. It got me going. And so I said to myself while I was driving there, and I was like super, super hyper with this song. I'm singing and, dancing around in my seat while I'm driving. And I say to myself, the whole universe right now conspires in my favor. I always get the best treatment. And I kept on driving. I passed through that, and I just let myself be saturated with that when I was happy. Okay, so that's one of the keys. I think when I was happy because of the song and things were going good, and I was in this really beautiful stretch of road instead of stressed out, back up traffic, whatever. I was in this beautiful stretch of road. There was this great song that really jazzes me and like makes me feel strong and empowered. And then I said, all the universe conspires in my favor, and I always get the best treatment, the best services, the best outcome because I was on my way to go pick up a bunch of packages at I don't know, you're at a package store. I don't know. You're allowed to say the name of companies. I don't know the rules about YouTube. But anyhow, so I was going and I have that I was new at that particular location, but I have a history of having a lot of like really, really damaged packages, lost packages, nasty, rude behavior, like literally scary drivers where I'm like, wow, like I like that guy looks like he straight up looks like Gollum's distant cousin. Like, I don't know what's going on. How that guy get a job? He looks so aggressive and scary and spooky. Like, it happened multiple times, different people, different situations. And so I just developed this like fear as a woman alone to like get these packages. But I had to because of work and living situations, etc. And so I figured out that I can just go to the store, like have them hold them at the store. So I was like, I think that'll be better than them coming to my location. So I go because I'm a little bit rural, and and that's the way I like it. And so I go into the place and I'm behind one person, and then little by little people stream in behind me, and we're standing there waiting, and the people at the counter are kind of having, they're taking their time and they're acting like there's not six of us waiting. But I was like, okay, cool. I was like in a good mood from my song and my pretty section of the drive, and I'm going to get great treatment. And then all of a sudden the lady behind the counter, she starts scolding all of us in line, just like random, like randomly scolding all of us. I know you didn't read the sign. You guys don't read the sign. I put it up 3 weeks in advance, and then you're gonna call me and complain. And I was just like, well, I didn't even know what she was talking about. But okay, so I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna take it, right? And I'm happy. So not gonna take it plus happy meant that I was able to deliver a non-supercharged but uh, deflection of her trying to blame, put whatever her frustration was off on us. And I said, hey, personally, if I stopped and read every single sign everywhere in the world that was on my path, I would never move forward in life. And the lady's like, that's why everyone's always complaining and calling that I was closed, and I told them and they didn't read the sign. And then I shut my mouth, right? And then I realized that someone had given her a lot of a very hard time, and she was releasing that onto us. Like, humans do that, and I think some people think it's okay. I don't think it's okay. The whole hurt people, like that doesn't work for me. We're all hurt. Okay? Now obviously there's a minor hurt. There are horrifically significant worse. We're not going there. But I gave her the gentle blowback, but then I stayed quiet, and I didn't escalate it because I could tell she kept on going on, but I could tell that she was also realizing, wow, six people are standing here silent, and you're just like, like, we don't know you. We're just here to, we're here to do business, and we don't, and we're all separate, and we're not involved in whatever's going on here. So eventually I get up to the front, and she just totally turns it around. And instead of what she was doing, she was trying to explain to me why she was upset. And I ended up having compassion for her because, of course, that's just me. But I still maintained my inner ballast. I didn't get all obsequious. So I got my stuff. I made it out. I made it toward the door, and one of the people that was standing in line at the very end of the line gets the door for me, and because I literally had packages just as much as a person could carry, and this girl gets the door for me, and I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Because literally, like, they were going to tumble. Thank you so, so much. He opens the door for me. So I'm thinking, wow, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. I'm sticking up for myself, and I'm not going to jail, and no one's getting no one's bleeding, and I'm getting good service. So this is working. This is working. Sticking up for myself. But I am just as important as. Okay, so I'm picking back up where I left off. The helicopter was going back and forth, and I ran out of audio file. Okay, so I get the packages. I'm going to the door. This girl opens the door for me, and I'm like, wow, it's working. It's working. I'm getting good treatment. I'm getting, and then, but it gets even better because then the girl's like, oh, where's your car? And I'm like, it's that one over there. But it's locked, right? And she's like, where's your key? I was like, it's in my pocket. So she goes in my pocket, gets my key, opens my car, opens the door to the car, and literally takes the packages one by one off the stack of my arms. It's like up, like I can't even see, and puts them in the car for me. I literally thanked her. I was like praising God and blessing her. Like she must have been like, "Whoa, lady," but I was just like, "Man, I have this new thing. I'm I've had so many weird experiences, and I'm trying to have like more positive experiences. And I just decided that I'm gonna have good treatment, and you're proof of it. Thank you so much." And it was like, I mean, like it was like I wanted to cry. I was so joyous. I thought, "Oh, what can I do for this person?" And it was such a like a happy, fulfilling moment. And she was so pleased with herself. She's like, no, of course, and it was just so nice because I was like, yeah, no, of course, no one's ever done that for me in 50 years. Not that exact situation. Not that exact situation. I mean, you know? So then I have to go back because it was a big order and it was divided and they don't all arrive in the same day. So I go back today. Okay. I go back today. The same lady's there. And she's like, oh, hi. And I'm like, oh, hello, and she kind of remembers me, but I show her my ID anyway. She barely looks at it because then I knew she definitely remembered me. And then I thought, oh, let's kind of see how this is going to go. And I was so uncomfortable that before I went in there, I was thinking about buying some little like snacks and water bottles and like just to kind of like this was my people pleaser wanted to creep in. Okay, I wanted to like give her a little gift or because of the like slight tension the day before because I'm gonna have to possibly see this person for years to come, and I wanted to make sure that I built a positive experience, and I reassured her that I meant no harm or disrespect, right? But my gut's telling me you don't need to do that. It's not required. You don't need to do that. So I listened to my gut and I didn't do it. I didn't bring any presents or gifts. I just was like, I'm enough. I'm enough. I'm just as important as her, and we're good, and I'm enough. And so she gets all my stuff and she stacks it up, and all of a sudden this guy, and I'm about ready to like go, okay, I'm gonna have to take a couple trips to get all this stuff out the door. And this guy, her employee, who I don't know, I got the impression could be her nephew or something, but who knows? He comes around the corner and says, "Can I get those packages for you?" Picks up every single before I can like stop, but because I wanted to stop. Oh no, no, I'll get it. Forget that, man. Remember, I get treated wonderful everywhere. I get the best service and the best outcome. This worker from the package pickup shop literally picks all my packages up, and it's a lot of boxes. Goes, opens door, goes out the door, goes, which car is yours? I tell him, now my hands are free because he's looking after me so well. I click to open the trunk, and he puts every single thing in and he organizes it nicely so they don't like fall like the Leaning Tower of Pisa and then, you know? Man, and I said, I want to thank you so, so much for your chivalry and your kindness. It means so much to me because I've very specifically been saying I want more of this in my life, and I thank you so much. And I don't this poor young guy. I don't know if I embarrassed him, but he seemed so genuinely just like impressed that I was so pleased and grateful to him. And then I thought, wow, I didn't bring presents, I didn't bring gifts, I didn't give a cash tip, which is not ever expected in this exact scenario. But like I didn't do anything. Whereas normally I think I have to go above and beyond and do 10 million things just to get treated pleasantly by someone. And so it worked, and it worked perfectly and beautifully. 2 days in a row, two totally separate people, two different towering stacks of boxes that I had to get to my car, through the crowd, waiting in the store and out the door and, to the car and in the car and without them falling all over the place. It's just so awesome. And so I just want to say, I wanted to share this little win with you. It's like a little double win because I feel like my goal is try to discover some formulas that are effective for myself and share them with you so that as I share it, it strengthens it for me so that I can digest, integrate, and then behave from this instead of having to like do a big spiel about it all the time. When I fall off and fall back on. But I mean, that's cool. We'll always be doing that in life. But I just wanted to share with you. So the tip is be aware that if you're doing people pleasing tendencies and they're not working out for you, be aware and decide you are exactly as important in any normal human interaction as the other person. Okay? In any normal human interaction, have common sense. Okay, don't make me spell. I'm not gonna spell out like if you want to be stupid, then good for you. Okay, in any normal human interaction, you are just as important as the other person, and you deserve for that to simply be a factor in the equation. You still got to do your work to make things however you want to make them. Okay. You want them extra nice, then okay. But remember, don't fall back into people pleasing. You don't got to bring a bunch of gifts and buy lunch for the whole office because that's kind of way I was thinking. Like, oh, I got to do so much. Oh my God, someone was finally freaking nice to me. Whoa. It's, especially at a place like this where I've had so many negative experiences in the past. Different place though. So this place, I'm just where I'm supposed to be. That's nothing. Geographically being where you're supposed to be in the sort of social, cultural, geographic milieu. I don't know. I don't know, but that's one of my other overarching experience in my life at the moment, which maybe I'll share. I don't know. Like I definitely am super private, so I wouldn't want to say it yet. Or well, eventually, right? Eventually, that's the point. That's another thing for me is to go ahead and share because it helps me and maybe can help you. And sometimes it's just fun to hear little stories. I always enjoyed hearing people's little stories when they get a win. It's a delightful little zingy little moment. And so become aware, know that you're equally valuable in any normal situation as every other human being that you have to interact with. Get some sense of like boundaries and reciprocation going gently, calmly, and then make an affirmation for yourself. Say, hey man, I get treated wonderfully everywhere I go. Everywhere I go, I get the best service and the best outcome. So best service with my packages and best outcome. I'm hoping for my facial and my skin is looking better. I've had a lot of skin issues. So we'll see if we can do some beauty stuff in the future. But for now, this is for now first brick in the wall, or in the foundation. I'd rather that sense of building this foundation of a home that I can live in, which is my body and my mind and my life and my spirit. And if that works well and it can be useful to you, awesome. So try that little thing out. Have the awareness. Decide you're equally valuable, and say, "Hey, man, everywhere I go, I get good treatment. I get great treatment." And if you don't get bent out of shape about it. You can just never go there again, or you can just say, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't read your." You don't even have to say sorry. You can just say, "Hey, I can't read every sign. Everywhere I go, I can't read every single sign on the side of the highway, or I will crash my car and kill myself and others." So it's literally not good advice to read every single sign. And there was literally like I don't know how many signs were on that door. So really, she was just upset because someone had given her a hard time. She's blowing it off on us, and I was just letting her know, like, "Hey, I'm not interested in receiving this blowback for something I didn't do." But it ended up working out great when I decided that I was equal, and then I was just kept on telling myself, I wake up in the middle of the night or I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning before my alarm, and I'd be like, oh, I everywhere I go, I could just get the best treatment. I get the best service and the best outcome. And I started saying that. And then whenever I would feel really happy, so I could supercharge it magically, I would say, like with the song, when I was driving through this beautiful woodsy area, little stretch of the highway, I was like, ooh, the whole universe conspires in my favor. And I was just trying to call my power back from negative situations with the nourishing essence of nature. And if this could work for me, because I'm pretty hard headed, and at almost 50, just think about how well ingrained my poor patterns are. If I can do it, I mean, I'm thinking maybe somebody else could. And I hope that it works for you or something even better. If you'd like to comment, please do. If not, that's totally cool. If you'd like to subscribe, cool, great. And if not, that's totally cool too. Just thanks for being here and wanting to be a happy, healthy person. I wish you all the very, very, very best. And I hope to see you again. Thank you. Bye bye.